your laptop
Yeah.
is not plugged in. It's not plugged in. Look, don't worry, I'm going to charge it for stuff, all right?
If
So
it is dying.
if your laptop dies, you will need to unplug the microphone.
Yes.
Don't unplug the camera. And then you'll need to just go onto Zoom, preferences, and then you'll have to ensure the audio switches back to MacBook.
Okay. I'm going to go with it. It's going to hold strong.
All right, cool. There you go. Well, I'll get started and use the battery we have.
He's talking tech to me. I'm taking it on. Oh, okay. I'll see you at 12. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I've bombarded your house so early.
I'm showing you how to look.
All right. I'm so excited. You're like one of my first, you're my first online. I've done a couple of live ones now, but you're my first like over the Zoom one, baby.
Oh, babe, I'm so honored. So happy to chat with you.
You wanted to show me something?
Tell you how to look the house.
Did I just, can you hear me, Shell?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's showing.
You need the key to this room.
Yeah.
All that needs to be locked up is this room.
Okay.
Yep. Just leave the key in the door.
Yep.
Just give me the key when I see you.
Leave the key in the door.
Yeah.
And then leave out the back.
No. So
lock it.
This door.
Yeah.
Bring the key with you.
Yeah.
And then give the key back to me when I see you.
Check. And go out the back or front, doesn't matter.
Front's open,
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, Shell, thank you so much for your patience.
All good, babe. I totally get it.
Yeah, but my Wi-Fi sitch, I was like, I'm not backing this in for an interview. And then my friends were like, I've got a full podcast studio. So I was like, okay.
Oh, perfect.
Fix the fluff arrangement with my hair. Cool. So I'm just gonna jam with you, and and it literally will just be us like having a fun chat about the things that we have fun chats about.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Okay, let me just hit this. Awesome. Well, actually, before we like officially dive in, how would you like me to introduce you?
Shelly Bullard.
Yeah.
You could say manifestation teacher, manifestation expert, teaches manifestation, whatever you could say, like my friend and she teaches manifestation and whatever, however you want, something like that.
Awesome. Okay, great.
Okay.
So I'm going to hit. Okay, so welcome to another episode of Sirens of Joy. And I am so excited to introduce this incredible woman on today. She is a dear, dear friend of mine. Whenever I see her, my heart just goes, like I just so much love for you. But she's a badass. Like she's an incredible manifestation expert and a relationship coach. And you've got a background in some kind
psychology.
of
psychology. I have a master's in psychology also.
Yeah, that's it. I love it. I love when people really integrate like science and spirituality and you like are really about consciousness as well. And I love the way like this podcast really is about what does that new paradigm look for particularly for women. And to me, the reason I wanted to invite you on is A, so we can just have a catch up because I love you and miss you. But B, you really embody this new way to create life where there's like an ease and you receive life and you flow with life. This is from my experience of seeing you. And I know that's a lot of what you teach. And I just want to intro as well by like, when I met you, I don't know if you remember this, but like we were in Bali and like, it was kind of like a love at first sight. Like there was just this like magnetic pull towards each other. And I know that's a lot about what you teach about as well, is just like authenticity and magnetism. And you really embody that. So I wanted to invite you on so we can have an epic conversation and dive in on all the things around like this new way and how to manifest our realities in a way that feels juicy and authentic and alive for us. So
oh yes,
there's your intro, baby.
Oh, babe. Oh, it's so wonderful to be here with you. So wonderful to be here with you. Yes. And it was love at first sight. It was just like, whoosh, that's my friend. And you hold you very dear in my heart. I'm so happy we get to do this.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And so like, I love to flow really organically on these and just have a conversation. And obviously my intention's always to like serve the highest good and whatever wants to come through. But let's start at that meeting place, like of magnetism. Like I know that that's a lot of what you talk about. What does that mean to you? To like, you hear that a lot, like being magnetic. What does that actually mean for you?
Well, I mean, if we're talking in terms of magnetizing your desires, which really that's kind of what being magnetic is. Even if you're being magnetic towards other people, you're being magnetic towards lovers, you're being magnetic towards money, it's really drawing things to you. And for me, the essence of that is embodiment. And what that means to me, because I know that's another word that's really big, what that means is holding the knowing that you are the person that is meant for this thing that you are magnetizing, meant for this experience. And it could be very, very, very general. I mean, I hold a lot of general beliefs about who I am and the goodness and blessings that are going to come into my life. And it can be really, really specific as well. This specific amount of money is going to come to me. This specific career is going to come to me. And it's all about using your mind, your imagination. And for me, the most important thing is the felt experience in your body. It's like a embodied claim that you are that person, that you are. So it could even be, you are the person who's magnetic. You are the person who is, wealthy. You are the person who is cherished. You are the person who is chosen, any quality we can think of, because we're actually doing that anyways. We're either identifying with being that or not being that to various degrees for different subjects in our lives. So we can get into that, but that's essentially what magnetism means to me. It's like embodying the felt experience of being that person who has your desire.
I love that. Yeah, when I'm gonna confess here, I've become a little bit of a Shelly Bullard YouTube addict. I honestly I don't follow that many people anymore online because I find it gets a bit noisy and overwhelming. But over on YouTube land, I've really been digging your videos, like how you, and we'll drop a link in so that those people who are really love how you share today can follow you. But that's the part that you explain really, really well that lands to me. It's like creating that experience in the body. And I guess goes on to another point. We hear a lot about manifestation. What do you think are some of the big things that get in the way of people really manifesting and having that real felt experience of knowing they're worthy and deserving of that thing? Like what's the biggest block you see with people you work with?
Well, I think there's a couple things. The first thing that comes to mind, which I think is a really important distinction, is many of us were taught, and everyone has their own perspective and their own way. So this is just what I have discovered for myself through studying manifestation for many years. So it's kind of, of course we have to just take or leave whatever feels right or not. But many of us were taught kind of the classic law of attraction manifestation style, which is essentially, for me, when I was trying to manifest through kind of classic law of attraction, it was almost like I was trying to call this separate thing to me. And it's like matching vibration, these types of things, but it's still, there's like separation is embedded in that way of manifesting. Now, the way I manifest now, which is like a lot more successful than how I used to manifest, it's more of the lineage of Neville Goddard. He's an old school manifester. And rather, he actually calls it the law of assumption. rather than the law of attraction. And the law of assumption is assuming you are the person who has your desire. It's practicing being that person, practicing the felt experience of already being that person. So I teach a lot about manifesting relationships. I also teach about manifesting money. Once you understand how to do this, you can apply it to all areas of your life. I'm currently manifesting a house. That's the thing I'm really working on right now personally. But so let's just give a little example so people can understand this. Rather than law of attraction, attracting a person to you who's a vibrational match, that's kind of classic law of attraction. Nothing wrong with that, but that's just a particular way. The way I teach it is, who is the you who is in this relationship? What thoughts are you having? What do you, in your imagination, hear your lover saying to you? What does it feel like to be fully chosen and claimed by this person that you are just madly in love with? Now we're using our imagination in our inner world to conjure up, the me who is in relationship, she feels a really particular way. She feels very different than single Shelly. She's cherished, she's adored, she's so happy. She's hearing her lover say wonderful things. She's telling him she's happier than she's ever been in her life. She's maybe feeling a ring on her finger. I mean, you could take it all different directions, but essentially, rather than trying to get something to come to you, you become the person who has it already. Okay. And so it's a tweak in the mindset, but for me, it's a very powerful one. And I think manifesting and law of attraction, it's more rare to learn it this particular way. So yeah.
I absolutely love it. And I think that's again why I love watching your YouTube videos, because I feel that subtle distinction and that refinement in what you're talking about. And it is a mastery, isn't it? Learning to manifest. And I also, I'm really big on receiving at the moment. That's an energetic that I'm really refining. Yes. And that's a big part of it as well, isn't it? It's and do you have a little formula that you work with? This is how I get clear on my desire. This is how I,
No, I don't have a set formula. It kind of just depends on each person and where they're at. But I mean, I could give one right now, but pretty easily. Yeah, it's essentially okay. It's essentially of course we have categories of life. We have a lot of categories of life that are important to us: relationship, money, friendship, family, all those categories. So within the category, relationship is a huge one. It's the one that I teach most people about. It's getting clear, and it's playing too. You're playing. It's not you got to get it right. And it's not you got to make sure you keep telling the universe to get it for you. If you just think about it, who would I be if I was in the most exquisite relationship of my life? What type of thoughts would I be having during the day? How would I feel in my body? I would even, when I was manifesting my partner, when I would lay down to go to sleep, I would literally wrap my arms around my body, close my eyes, wrap my arms around my body. And I'd almost as if I were feeling him wrap his arms around my body. I'm just playing, I'm just pretending, I'm conjuring up the felt imaginal experience. And I'd hear him saying things to me you are the most gorgeous woman I've ever seen. I've never met anyone like you. These types of things. And what you'll find is when you start, we can call it playing with your imagination in this way, or exploring, or, I call it play because it's actually fun. It's really fun to take on these new energies. And then you just start practicing what that feels like. And you don't have to overdo it. But what I have found for myself is that there really comes a point where you've been doing a practice like this for a few days, or, many hours, throughout the course of a couple of weeks, where it becomes very familiar to you to be that person who's already loved, that person who's already chosen, cared for. And when you're already just really kind of landed there, you're not thinking you are in a relationship, but you know what it feels like to be in one because you've been practicing it. that's when it's like, it's just going to be coming in fast. And probably a lot of people are going to be coming in fast because that's like the magnetite, that's the you're embodying the wish fulfilled, is what Neville Goddard used to say. You are embodying the wish fulfilled, and it will start showing up in your 3D reality, because manifesting is actually going like this. Who you are will be confirmed from the outside reality back to you.
I love this. It's so juicy, because we're really talking about magic, really, aren't we? Like, it's
yes.
And do you continually like get mind blown, even though you're a master of this and you know how to do it and you know the experience of it? Like, do you still get your mind blown of like, oh my gosh, how cool?
Yeah, I do still get my mind blown. I do still get my mind blown, and I do still forget.
Yeah,
like I do still mess it up. Like, had an experience recently where we hadn't even been super actively manifesting a house yet, but one came into our field, but we lost it. And it was like, whoa, okay, whoa. And it kind of, the loss of it actually threw me through the loop. And I'm like, have to rebuild myself back into, no, honey, you're in your home. You're in your dream home. It's right here. It's the place you've always wanted, but I have to put myself back into that new state, even after the loss. And this is okay. We're always shifting and evolving. There's highs, there's lows, but it's really kind of coming back into our center and into our knowing of our own power, that it's all reflection, and we're just creating it all. And just get back there and know who you are, know that you're your infinite creator, know that you really can create anything. It's a practice.
Yeah, and it's mastery. And I love that you shared that, like, doesn't always like go perfect, because if we lived in that world, it would legally like boom, 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 everything there all the time.
Right.
So yeah, I love that you're real about, like, sometimes we see where we didn't fully land energetically.
Yeah, exactly. It's really good too. And then even being in a relationship. So not only manifesting a relationship but manifesting what the relationship feels like when you're in it. There's always tweaks, so how this shows up when you're in a relationship is your core beliefs about what you're going to get and not get are going to show up with that person. And so he's a great mirror for me to see my inner world and what I believe about relationship, what I believe about men. And so then there's room to tweak there, to continue to tweak the beliefs and what we're holding inside that will shift the outer reality. Yeah. So
and
it's always a practice.
I think that's so cool that you brought that up too, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's just about like bringing in the thing, like the relationship or the money, but then you've still got to hold it. You've still got to evolve with it and grow with it. So it's
getting the right one. It's a beautiful fantasy. I've run with that fantasy for many years.
I love it.
There's a right one too. I don't want to say that there's not. Of course there is, but the point is, everything is always a reflection. If you think about it that way, you really are taking full responsibility for what is in your reality, and you recognize that you actually have the power to shift it.
That's really cool, because there's so many topics within your area of expertise we can dive into. I know you manifested $1 million, and like you've manifested some amazing things, but I think the relationship piece is like what I'm personally really excited about, and I'm sure many people watching will be. So do you want to speak a little bit deeper? Like, tell us about the journey of your manifesting your man, and also even before that, like, what was it that got you so fascinated with this space of relationship, of manifestation? Like what like sometimes where there's a pain there, that's where our kind of purpose comes through. But I'd love to hear a little bit about how you came to be so passionate about this area.
Totally. Well, relationship they were so hard for me. I mean, that's obvious. It was just like, what the fuck is this? Why is this so hard? I mean, that happened I was in my 20s, like probably many of us. And I just was like, I don't have a clue what's going on here. Not even I don't have a clue. It's just like, what? Oh God, this is really sticky. And so the way I dealt with that originally was I went to graduate school and got my master's in counseling psychology, and I was like I was in my own therapy for many years. I was studying therapy to try to crack the code, really, of myself and really, in particular, in relationship. And I feel like I started to understand a lot of things. Like psychology helped me understand my patterning, my early childhood, my parents, and what that, like how that formed me. And so I learned a lot from that. But it actually wasn't until I had what I call, and it really was a significant I had a spiritual awakening in 2011. And in that awakening, took a long time for it to integrate, but I can now look back and see, like, over the months after the awakening. But essentially what happened in the actual awakening was I got a felt experience of my, we could call it true nature, we can call it infinite nature, we can call it like perfect self, we can call it love, we can spirit, there's so many words to describe it, but I got a felt experience of it. And it was the first time I really got that felt experience of wholeness within was the truth of who I was, like above and beyond anything. And any drama out there, actually with that messaging of the awakening, what I heard essentially was like, none of that's you. It's all just this whole thing that's playing out, but this is you. And so after that awakening, I became very devoted to that inner alignment, inner knowing. I didn't even really know it. It took a really long time for me to like understand what that was, what happened. I mean, this was now over 10 years ago, or about 10 years ago, actually. So then soon after, though, the awakening, what I started to also understand was, the reason my relationships have been so hard is because I'm creating them. is because they're a reflection of me. They're a reflection of my fears. They're reflections of my dominant thoughts and beliefs. They are reflecting me, my inner patterning back to myself. And all that comes from, early childhood or, lifetime's karma, whatever we want to call it. And so then that's how I I made the connection, and then it just became a journey. It became a journey where I continued to make mistakes, but it was a journey of coming back to self and inner wholeness and seeing through the eyes of that wholeness. And, playing in the realm of relationship and still losing my way. And, so I don't know if that even answers your question, but essentially It's just been an exploration since then, and a recognition of like, okay, essentially what's happening out there is being created by me. That means I'm ultimately the creator. I'm ultimately in charge. What do I need to heal within here to no longer play out shit out there that I don't want to play out anymore?
Yeah.
And that's the journey.
And that's the journey. And I love that moment of realizing like, my relationships are hard because I'm making them hard. And it sounds so simple, but it's like constantly, and we need each other to remind each other of like, like I'm creating my reality. And like, it's a constant reminder. And I think that's the gift of us all coming together and sharing our wisdom and experience. So we keep bringing ourselves back to that center point.
It's so true. Yeah, it's helpful for me to even say it to you too, to remember like, wait, shit, it's my responsibility. Okay, let's do this.
Yeah, I love that. And do you want to tell us like a little bit about your man that you manifested? Because I'd love you to even take us in on that journey of like, from getting clear on what it is that you want and you do desire, to like really like bring it into the body, to it popping up and you being like, oh, hi. Like, cause I think you guys have this like really beautiful journey together. It sounds like you're getting serious homes and all that, but like, just from, I guess, that desire of like, I'm ready to like call this in, to him coming in. I'd love to hear a bit about that. If you don't mind sharing, because I know.
Oh my God, I would love to. No, I would love to share about that. I mean, I manifested him very, very quickly, but I knew fully what I was doing. And like, I was able to fully align to it. And before I speak to that, I want to say, I was also like, I was going through kind of recent heartbreak, you might say, or like recent relationship disillusion. So I actually find that often that's a really good time to manifest someone new. When I think sometimes people give the advice of like, well, don't, it is different for everyone essentially, but why that's an important piece was like, I had just experienced what I didn't want. And sometimes you hear about this in the more traditional law of attraction world, like when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want, like the contrast. But it was true. I had just gone through kind of a disappointing experience with a man recently. I had recently gone through a disappointing experience with a man. And I was like, that's not what I want. And so it got me in touch with, well, what do I want? What do I want? And when I'm manifesting something big like this, I mean, the biggest thing I could manifest would be a relationship. To me, it's like the most significant thing in my life. So I'll go all in, and I'm relentless, and I'll just really go there. So what I did was I was so dedicated in my being to feeling myself in the relationship. So I would feel multiple aspects of the relationship. I would feel myself as just like a cherished goddess, queen, like so seen, so showered upon, just like absolutely loved. And when I'm saying I'd feel this, I'd have like little sessions, you might say. Maybe I'd go to the coffee shop in the morning and I'd drink my coffee. It was great to kind of amp me up. And, I'm just doing my own thing. No one can really see what I'm doing, but I'm essentially evoking or maybe writing in my phone, like a scenario of I'm just like feeling like an absolute cherished queen. And what does my man feel like? Okay, well, he feels like he's just fully here, fully all in. He may be telling me things like, I'm all in. Just it's totally you, it's only you, things like this. And I'm just conjuring up like these scenes, this felt experience of this happening. I'm not deluding myself and thinking that it's happening in the moment. I know I'm in my imagination, just conjuring up a very strong felt experience of essentially being claimed by an incredible man who's just all in with me. I'm all in. And I'm feeling all the aspects of that relationship. I mean, we don't have to get like, sometimes people worry, like, what if I leave something off the list? Or what if I don't get every detail? It's just like, well, yeah, I don't know. I'm a little lazy when it comes to that. It's just like, it's too much. It's like, I don't want to stress myself out. Just feel it, feel the core aspects of it, feel the core aspects of him. If you can practice it, you don't have to be perfect, but keep practicing. And so what I did was like, I was like super feeling myself in this relationship. I was feeling this, like how serious the relationship was, that we were fully all in, that this man was claiming me, that he was ready for the whole thing. He was like, I am ready for the full thing with you. I am right here. I'm not going fucking anywhere. And actually, he just said that to me like a couple, like recently, he just said that to me. And I was just feeling that. And what was happening, and this will happen, a lot of men weren't coming in. A lot of men were like, kind of, they're coming in, and like, and I was like feeling, they weren't coming in too far, but this happened to be a time where like they were really coming in. Of course, well, they're reflecting that thing back to me. But it wasn't until he came in, just within a few weeks, he came in, and he actually, this has happened to me more than once. He just started verbatim saying the things that I had written down in my little journal that the guy is saying. Now, I didn't just write it down. I felt my man saying these things to me. I felt him telling me, you are a goddess. I felt I felt the level of his claim for days, you can say, for days, weeks, maybe a couple weeks. And then he's it's just like, he's there, he's there. And he said when we had met we eventually were in the same space together. We had met and it was just kind of a friendly interaction, but then we were then a couple days later in the same space together. And he said he saw me from across the room and he was like, oh, okay. I get it now. Like, I get who she is. Oh, and he was like, okay, roll up your sleeves. Let's go do this. And he would call me Goddess level 10. And yeah, then he came in and he was all those things. He was super clear. He was super in. He's really masterful at being all in. And the rest is history. We went to lunch and then it just unfolds and it just is like, okay, yeah, this is obvious. Here we go.
That's so beautiful. I love it. And what I love about how you describe this, because I'm kind of in this process, and I would say I'm in the process of there's people around, the men around,
right.
Like, and that's also, I was excited to chat to you because I'm always refining this process. And I love, you talk a lot about the end result and the emotion, but I love that you keep it so simple, because I think there is, in this personal, spiritual manifestation development world, there can be so much information and so much contradicting information of like, do this and say this and read that and call this in and and don't leave this off the list because it, and you're just bringing it back to simplicity of like the inner knowing and the inner experience of you being in it. And then I'm sure it's like you're not trying to control it as well. Like you're claiming what you want and you're allowing room for like surrender and it to unfold.
Right.
So in that process, are there like some fun surprises that you're like, oh, I didn't even think of that in a relationship, or, how did the experience of it when it came in go for you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. For me, I've never been that type of like the type A wants to control all the details. That's not my style. I'm much more, I like being surprised kind of. I like relaxing and surrendering, but I knew the core things and essentially to me, the core things were like emotional, spiritual, energetic qualities, essentially. It's like, how does he feel? How do I feel with him? How does our relationship feel? It's like, it really kind of, if you boil it down, it comes down to a few like just general qualities. Like I'm totally cherished. Like I'm completely chosen. He's fully present. He's all in, he's a deep, loving, heart-centered being. We laugh, we have fun, things like this. Yeah. And then I also include like, I'm attracted to him, so he came in with some things like he has like a really nice chest. I love his chest. And I wasn't like focusing in on the chest, but what's funny about that is I did have like a month or two before, I imagined a really nice man's chest. And I remember imagining it. And like, I came in with this really nice chest. I was like, sweet, got that one. I didn't even really know. So, or different things like actually, it's really great. He's an accountant. So he holds like a structural thing that I really don't hold, but like, now I have an accountant for my business. I really needed that. I didn't know I needed it, but like I did. And now it's like he fit right in there. So there's little things, but to me, it's just like the core piece. You want the core pieces in place kind of for me. And those are really general feelings. And then but it's not to say like he manifested me as well, but he wasn't really necessarily super consciously doing so. He knew I was a goddess. That was the main thing he knew. And to him, that meant a fully embodied, powerful woman who is fully in herself. That's what that meant to him. But on top of that, he felt I'd like her to be tall. I'd like her to be brunette. So I am those things. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it totally does. Cause like, why do we want to create anything. It's to feel a certain way. And so you're just shortcutting that of like really the feeling. And I remember you saying like part of what you were calling in was like that steadiness and that kind of probably structured bit. So that came in the way of him energetically, which also brought the accounting bit. But you were probably, I'm guessing, feeling that structure and stability and like that kind of energy.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think.
And he's very much that. He's like Capricorn, you know, he's like, he's got the whole thing down like to a full mastery. And it's of course like it's really beautiful to have that in my world for sure. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. And it really is that simple, isn't it? And sometimes we don't allow it to be that simple, like be in the experience of the end result of what you would love. And I think the key thing you touched on, which I love, and you know, I'm very much on this thread, slightly different. I've learned advanced intuition, but it is alchemy. It is like we're talking about alchemy, right? But it's fun and it's light and it's not all this heavy, like gotta go in and dig it all up, and like it's not avoiding the things in the middle.
Right.
It can be messy. The whole journey can be a bit messy, can't it? But there's a playfulness and a lightness to this way as well.
Yeah. The way I hold it is like, and it's so easy not to hold it this way. And I really understand because sometimes I don't hold it this way as well because I'm a human and I do all the human things. But it's like, if everything is just a reflection of my inner world, then actually like it's all malleable. It's always malleable. And, you know, like, we can like, okay, I'll erase some of that and let me tweak some of this. And let me like, it's like, how do I continuously kind of be malleable myself to create the outer result? And nothing is ever lost. It's all just kind of this play of like, well, what's this going to create? What's this? If I'm this, what happens? And that's why it's also fun to play with manifesting small things that we don't really care about. That's really fun and playful. And it helps us understand like, whoa, it actually is like just reflecting out there. This is so freaking weird, you know, like, whoa, I'm imagining like a unicorn and then it's showing up out there in the weirdest way. Or, you know, it's fun to see just how powerful we are and that we're here for this. We're here to like play in this way. That's the way I hold it. Yeah.
I love that. I think that's where this whole part, because I've been in transformation like 12 years, and I think that's really where it just got so much more fun for me, was when I realized it's a game, and how do we want to play it, and how do we want to create in it, rather than like, you know, gripping so tightly. And I love that you know, for people listening, that it could be a relationship that they're wanting to, or they desire to attract, or a you know, money, income streams, whatever it might be. I love the idea of just practicing and playing with small things. Like, do you have like a little experiment that you could give them to like start playing with this kind of stuff?
Yeah. I mean, so let me feel into that. Well, a really fun one to experiment with is imagine someone saying something to you.
Oh, I like
and have it, you know, it could be whatever you want, but imagine someone saying something to you. You don't have to get too specific on who it is. You could if you wanted, but just imagine like receiving some sort of either reflection, or I love your eyes, or you have such a beautiful smile, or it could even be like, do you know where the taco stand is? You know what I mean? It could be something really weird. Just play with like, just imagine that a little bit, imagine it. And then what's ideal for these things is to be able to like fully what's called let it go, which is essentially, you're not searching for it. You're not waiting for it to happen. So something, you know, another one is a free cup of coffee. People say to manifest a free cup of coffee. And so just like, imagine that you just get a cup of coffee. Oh my God, for me, thank you. Or, you know, however you want to do it. And just to start to see these reflections come back to you. Now, again, I started to say this, we don't want to hold too tightly to the manifestation. And this is actually a really big piece of manifesting. So you don't want to be attached to it. You don't want to be gripping. This also means you don't want to be checking to see if it's here yet. You don't want to be wondering, is it going to come? Is it not going to come? And the reason is because all of that is essentially a saturated inner state of it's not here. So remember, when we're manifesting, we're actually putting ourselves in the state of it's here. It already happened. I'm already the person in this relationship. I'm already the person with this money. And then when we're going about our life, you don't have to constantly be thinking you are that person, but you can't be doubting it all the time. You can't be thinking it's not going to show up. You can't be like constantly on the edge of your seat, hoping it's going to be here, because again, that's embodying the state of not having it. And everything is just reflecting your dominant inner state. So we want to be in the inner state of having it, and then lightly just living our lives. And with practice of manifestation, you could just have the faith that if you've impressed your subconscious mind, if you really feel it's going to come, it's going to come.
Totally. Mm-hmm. And I think, I know another thing that you talk a lot about is self-love. And really, would you say that's one of the big things as well that blocks people, is like not feeling really worthy or loving themselves enough to let it in? Is that why you talk about self-love so much?
Well, I talk about self-love a lot because mainly I'm teaching people to manifest love. And it's like the foundation of the house. If you don't think you are amazing, a queen, a goddess, and I'm saying you like really don't feel that way about yourself. And we can have off moments and off days. That's totally fine. It's just really hard to conjure up the belief that someone else is going to feel that way about you, and let's say you don't really feel that worthy and you do manifest someone in, that type of relationship becomes a disaster, because essentially you're constantly feeling insecure in the relationship. You're wondering if they're going to leave. They do leave because it's like, because the reflection happens. And so it's like, for me, but it's not only manifesting relationship, it's manifesting money too. It's manifesting anything. It's like, it's creating what, again, Neville Goddard, it's a word that he uses, or two words, self-concept. It's creating like a knowing of yourself that you are a person who genuinely is worthy of having all these things, of having anything you want. And so self-love is that. It's that foundation of your deep felt experience of worthiness. That's the main reason I teach it. But also the other thing is, if you have deep self-love, you're automatically going to manifest an amazing life. You don't even have to specifically manifest anything. But if you really walk around feeling, I'm worthy, I am a good person, I am beautiful, I am special, other people are going to see you that way. You're going to receive, it's all reflection of that. So without that, it's really hard to manifest an incredible life, in my perspective. And so that's really, it has to be the foundation.
And you really beautifully embody that as well. And I think, again, self-love can be this other thing that gets thrown around a lot. And, self-love, like, what is because I love how you keep things super simple, like for people watching and who want to go deeper in their self-love. Again, do you just keep it really simple with like treating yourself and speaking to yourself and the way that you want everyone else to?
Yeah, the simplest way to think about it is what self-love is. It's really, 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 really liking yourself. It's like really genuinely liking yourself. Like really, you really like yourself. That's essentially what it is. So sometimes people think self-love is like self-care, taking manicure, stuff like that. Well, that's can or can't be. But if you just think about it, it's like, you really like yourself. You genuinely really like and love yourself. That's what self-love is. The easiest way to build it is I am statements. I'm beautiful. I'm amazing. I'm a good person. I'm special. I'm worthy. I'm deserving. I'm special. Keep it freaking simple. You could have like 10 I am statements. Some of them are, for some people who really struggle with self-love and have never really done this before and who don't even know if they like themselves yet, you can start in the realm of I am statements that are more like, I am a good person. I have a good heart. I'm worthy of a beautiful relationship because everyone is. I deserve to have a good life because everyone deserves it. You know, you just keep it super simple, like almost like we all, every human and every living being deserves love. Like, so that includes me, you know, I am statements like that. And then when you start to like really, you'll see if you're saying I am statements and you're genuinely feeling the truth of it. I like to put my hand on my heart, you know, close my eyes. You really want to try to feel the truth of the statement that you're saying, like essentially like, yes, that is true. I'm a good person. Yes, that is true. I'm an amazing friend. Yes, that is true. Once you start to feel it, you'll see your self-love is growing. You'll start to feel better about yourself. Then you can like launch it into like, I'm a fucking queen. You know, or like you can take it anywhere you want to go.
Yeah.
You know, and you just kind of scale yourself up. You can do it like, I kind of did that to make you laugh, but you know, it's like you take it wherever you want it to go.
Yeah.
And
that you build the foundations.
Yeah.
I love it. And obviously, like, we've delved into relationship, but you apply this to money and every area of life. I just want to shift it to like to you at the moment, because you said you're manifesting a house, and you know, you seem to have like really found this mastery of manifestation. But just you in personally, like what's an edge for you these days? Because you know when you get your manifestation and that's fun, but like, yeah, where are your personal edges with this work, with consciousness? Like what's edgy for you these days?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question. Yeah, the biggest edge is being in relationship and like, and seeing the patterns that I have felt in previous relationships arise once again. It's like, oh God, darn.
I know we've done that one.
Yeah, and I call this my karma. My partner and I refer to it as our karmic unwind. You know, of course, like we have a perfect match of me, my belief of feeling really scared that I'm not going to be completely met or completely held, or, you know, these deeper kind of feminine, they're typically feminine fears of like, I'm not going to be deeply met, deeply seen. And his fears of he's not going to be good enough. I mean, I've played this out with, this is the thing that I come up against in relationship. And here it is again. Now, the beautiful thing is like, there's a maturing that has happened in me where I'm like, oof, so far I haven't been able to outrun this one, this karmic thing that I come up against. Okay. So here we are. How do I dance with this? How do I unwind it in myself? What needs to be known in me? What transformation or new embodiment of me needs to come online to start to shift this here too? And so, yeah, that's it. I mean, it's the dance of relationship. And I think it's so important, you know, like normalizing also that like that stuff comes up in relationships. Like, it's like, that's kind of part of the deal. It's really hard for us. And especially those of us who know how to create an amazing life and know how to like it, you know, it's like, ooh, there's a place here that I still have some work to do. And yeah, my edge is like staying in and doing the work, staying in and evolving, staying in and recognizing, ooh, here's the belief I seem to carry because I see it over and over again. Okay, got to work with this. So, and I happen to have a partner who's like all in to do the work, which is such a huge blessing, huge blessing. Yeah. And he sees it clearly too, in that, like, I mean, sometimes he'll even be the one to remind me, like, he knows he can't outrun his karma either. He knows it's like, well, it's going to be with you or someone else, but it's still going to, like, I'm going to have to do this stuff. And some of our karma, I mean, I have undone other karma before. Like I used to have like a strong abandonment wound, and that would arise for me in relationships. And it's been like quite a few years since I have felt that karmic wound. I just reversed it into like, I did so much inner work to feel like I will be fully shown up for. And that really has been the reflection. And so I know you can like undo these things. And so, yeah, I'm in to undo it, but it still shows up.
I love it. I think, I love that you shared that, and thanks, for you being vulnerable, I guess, in some ways to show, because it's very real, it's very tangible. And I guess the question arising for me, whether it's like business or a relationship that you've created, how do you know? And I guess this is from your perspective. I love that you always say that on your videos. You're not like, I'm the guru who knows the things. You're just like, from my perspective, I really appreciate that. When do you know when to step away from something? And when do you know whether to lean in and continue to greet those edges and evolve within the thing? Because I think it's a very interesting refinement of what we're talking about here.
Oh yeah. And I think that's like a really a deeply personal thing. So I would say when to lean in is if you keep coming up against the same thing. It's likely, I mean, it's not likely, it's you who's creating it. So even if it's the same thing in someone else, there's still a belief within you that is creating that. So my fear or belief of not being met, that is very familiar to me. This is not my first time feeling that.
It's not your first rodeo.
Like, hey, it's not my first rodeo. And so it's like, oof, okay. So there's that, but on top of it, I'm with a man who many of my needs are met. There is like a lot of good, and there's a willingness to dance in that with me. That makes it really helpful. Sometimes people find themselves in relationships where it's just too, we could use the word toxic, but that's not really the right word. It's just you're too lost. You think it's them, they think it's you. There's like, it's like blaming each other, and you can't land in like, let's do the work. So I think when you're like really like, I've had a relationship with a very conscious man, but this was years ago, but he and I would get super unconscious together, and like we were freaking lost. We couldn't really do the work. And it's interesting, we're good friends now. We're great at being friends. We see each other so clearly in friendship, but when we were in that relationship dynamic, it just felt like we were too lost. And so that's the way I have decided, that's how I have chosen to. It's like, okay, well, this is clearly my stuff. Great. Okay, great. Thanks, life. Like, I got it. Guess this is my karma this time. And like, I'm with someone who can dance. Like that's like gold. That's striking gold for me.
Yeah. It sounds like the difference is you've got really solid foundations. You're loving, you're willing, you're honest. And then from there, you're like, okay, let's work through this together. It sounds like the real willingness is a big part of it. And it's got solid foundations. And I think it's cool to acknowledge, like, no relationship is perfect. There's going to be things to do, but I do, and I know you believe this as well, see relationship as one of the greatest like aspects of our lives for awakening to more of ourselves, to owning ourselves more fully, to coming into deeper love through that constant mirror of where we're maybe not loving ourselves fully. So
it's like the most advanced spirituality. It totally is. It's like level 10. Like, you ready? Like, here we go. Because it's your deepest stuff, your core stuff, your deeper, your deeply embedded stuff. And so it's like, can I remember even in like this level of kind of forgetting, can I still remember here too? And that's the practice.
I love it.
Mhm.
You've shared so much wisdom and value with everyone and myself. Like, I love to get people on who are really speaking to things that like are really relevant for me as well, because I'm so
Mhm.
just in this space and loving it. But like, is there anything else before we sort of wrap up that like is on your heart or really alive for you at the moment, that you just want to share about or talk about?
That's such a beautiful question. No, I mean, it just feels really good to always come back to the truth. And, this is one way of remembering the truth. This is one way of speaking about the truth. This is one way of understanding the truth. There's so many messengers of the truth, and I'm grateful that I've landed in this messaging and this understanding. And yeah, I'm also really grateful that it is super simple. It's really simple. Like, I think I tell my audience on YouTube, like, manifesting is a one-step process. It's like, become the person who has your desire. Do what you got to do internally to like feel like you're that person. That's all you got to do. So I mean, it's nice to have a simplification of the work. And I'm just grateful to like deep dive with you about it, because it helps me I'm remembering too. I'm practicing too. I'm in it too. So it's really beautiful.
No, I've loved our dialogue and combo, and I always get such a beautiful feeling when I'm with you. And I think that's like, honestly, like what I see is mastery. And isn't it crazy that like we need to spend 20 years to get it to something so simple? It's like 20 years of gurus and books and workshops and relationships and business and all the things to be like, be the person who has the desire. Like, it gets into one sentence. 20 years, one sentence. Like, I fucking love that.
Right. Totally. Like 8 years of psychotherapy and 60 grand in graduate school. Freaking like, yeah, exactly. It's crazy. It's like, oh, okay, let's try that.
And that's the gift as well of like, and the last thing I'll say is like, jump on, follow Shelly on YouTube. She's on Instagram. Because like that's what we hear. That's like where we're in purpose. That's how we support each other to evolve, because we go and get messy with life, and then we report back and we're like, hey, this is a simpler way. So let me help you shortcut your journey. And I think that's how we really support each other to up level, by sharing our wisdom. And so it's a beautiful note to end on. I just want to really honor you for sharing your wisdom and all the rich, beautiful human experience that you've had to be able to come in and share what you share. And I really hope, on a personal note, that when I come to the States, we get to hang and I get to play. That would be really beautiful.
Oh, I would love that too. And thank you so much. I just adore you. I've adored you from the moment I saw you.
It was love at first sight, baby. Super fun. And wishing you all the best with your moving into your new home. We're going to speak as it's happening, because it is.
Yes.
And the unfoldment of your beautiful man and relationship and life. Like, really, wishing all the good things for you, and appreciating all the good things you do for others.
Thank you, sister. Thank you so much.
All right, my love, I'm going to wrap it up there. Goodbye to everybody. I'll put the links below so that you can follow Shelly. And we really appreciate you showing up for yourself. And it's always like just that one thing, like, of the conversations we have, if you just take that one thing that landed and resonated for you and apply it in your life, that's where the magic happens. So really, sitting with you, what really resonated in your body, what did you get excited about, and follow that thread and work with it. So lots of love to everyone, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.